Hey everybody. I thought I would just do a video and chat with you a little bit and tell you what's been going on with me. Maybe it can help direct you guys. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna try. Um, a couple weeks ago, I I'm sure you guys must have these days too, where you're overwhelmed and you're confused and you don't know what to believe and you pray and you pray and you pray. I have those days often, but there was this one day, and it's usually after I do one of my reverse audio because I I have to hear. I mean, I just show you guys little clippets, but I have to sit through hours of some pretty demonic, terrible things that I have to listen to and hear, and it can be very overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes it's so doom and gloom that I I have to sit back and think something good. I have to, reground myself. Anyway, so there was one day a couple weeks ago that I was just really overwhelmed and I had all these things thrown at me like and it kind of scared me. It was like be, you know, the name that you call out for God. You know, be careful. Uh, you know, and Yahweh and Jehovah and all this stuff, and it would kind of freak me out actually. And and then I felt Jews are not the real Jews, and I'm like, what the heck was I? I don't pretend to know a lot about the Bible. I My journey with Christ started only 4.5 years ago, so I wasn't really into knowing all of, Israel and the Jews and all that stuff. So it's been a learning process, but and also thinking, you know, even the presentation of Jesus is not what he looks like. Um, the real Israel is not where they say it is. The world's been reset and hidden and changed, and I had all these things thrown at me one day, and I was so overwhelmed, and I just said, what do I call you? Because if you're like me, you're afraid. You're afraid to make a mistake. I mean, there's a lot on the line here, right? Our souls are on the line. We don't want to make a mistake, and so I'm like, what? Back to basics. What do I call him then? And in my spirit right away was Father. And I just kind of sat there and went, well, yeah. You know, it, even Jesus, when he was talking about our Father, he called him that. He never called him Yahweh, and he never called him Jehovah. It was Father. And so while I was sitting on this, I had a comment on one of my videos from someone, K and P, and he directed me, or I'm assuming he, I really don't know, I'm sorry. Yes, I think it's he, directed me to um, Good God. And when I started watching some of his videos, I'm like, this is this is exactly what I felt in my spirit when I just, you know, sat back and went, Father. That's who we should be praying to. Father. And this guy here, I mean, you should really watch some of his videos. He he goes right down to the basics. There's good and evil. And when in the Bible it talks about, you know, um, hurting, pain, death, all these, all the bad, scary things, he's not, they're not talking about Father. And so I'm thankful to K and P to direct me here because it's just confirming what what I felt, and also, with right down to what Jesus looked like, and the Jews are not the right Jews, and where's the real Israel on our map, because we've been lied to about everything, and I've told you that before. Everything is a lie. Everything. And during their resets, they they change significant things, like the map. And I can't for the life of me remember right now of this YouTuber, and he goes into depth about that. I'll try and find it and make another video on it. But anyway, so have a look at Good God. He explains things so simply. And so when I got this confirmation, after I felt, Father, after I got this, I was watching another video, and this came up, and I'm sorry again, I should have wrote down who it was and what video it was. So apologies to whoever this was that I can't give you props for it, but this came up. I'm like, yeah, and there's like a serpent. There were It just confirmed a lot for me. And that really explains, and this is the whole thing about being tricked or misunderstanding things and you get scared. I did a video on the 9/11, and in reverse, you can hear someone yelling out for Yahweh. And I was taking it as he was calling out for God. But now that I look back, the voice that was in the demonic voice that was in that audio reversed, there was only that bad voice, that demonic voice, and he was calling out, to Yahweh, and I picture him because I'm pretty sure was looking at his dead body saying, "I'm gonna get up." So he was in fear. So that puts a whole other spin on that video. I may have to redo it because we learn so much as we go along. Anyway, so I just want to put that out there and have a look and be careful. Now, I don't think Jesus really cares what you think he looks like, but um, the Jews are not the real Jews. Like everything on the news and on the maps and everything is just not true. The Bible does say we're going to be deceived so badly, and I don't think people realize it is with everything. Everything. And that's a scary thought. I mean, they're changing our Bible. They've found a way to change the verses in the Bible. So now, can we even trust the Bible? Like, I don't know. So I had one of those days where, well, if you can't trust the Bible and you can't trust this and you can't trust that, Jesus, please help me understand. Where do we turn? Like, where do we turn to if everything is a lie? I mean, even when you do research on something, you're looking at some truth, but you're looking at some lies mixed in with that. So sometimes you have to just sit back, get down to the basics. I get so many things thrown at me, and it can be overwhelming and dreadful, the things that I have to hear and stuff to put together for you guys. But In the end, you just have to get back to the basics. It is not Yahweh. It is not Jehovah. It's Father, the Most High. That's who we should be praying to. And Jesus, of course. Now, I'm gonna I'm gonna give you a little bit of testimony here, and I'm not at all 100%. I am not comfortable doing it at all, but I feel in my spirit that I have to, and I've been feeling it for a couple weeks. That this is just a snippet of it. If you watched any of my other videos, then you know that all of my first problems started when I was ghost hunting. And I was getting, I mean, it was good. I was going everywhere and I was getting, spirits on the recorder every single time. I'm like, how are they having so much problems with this on TV when I can go for an hour and I have tons of them talking, and I couldn't understand. Anyway, so with that opened me up to huge problems. And long story short, there was a demon, a huge, a significant one, not just a negative energy, demonic spirit. He was big, and this is this is where I'm uncomfortable, because you're going to think I'm crazy, and I'm not crazy. There came a point when I could hear them. Okay, I could hear them as clear as if you were sitting beside me talking to me. I don't hear them anymore, but I was. And let me tell you, they don't like when you can hear them, because that gives you power over them. Because I remember, and if you remember in my other little bit of testimony, I told you that I could see them. I can see energy. I could see things flying around sometimes, and their lights and whatever. So I remember sitting on my front porch one time, and I saw, a light, and I heard one of them say, "She can see." And I said, "Yeah, I can hear you too." And they shut up real quick. Like, they do not want you to hear them, because they know that gives you power over them. And I'm going to tell you what that power is. When I was able to hear, I heard this demonic entity. I heard what his name was. And I prayed and prayed and prayed, and I found a prayer online, and you can't find it anymore. They've taken it down so no one else will see it. I found this prayer, and I was lucky enough that I even knew his name, and it was a binding prayer. And so I prayed to Jesus. I did this binding prayer. And let me tell you, if anyone ever has any doubts about Jesus, or, if spiritual warfare is real, or if, if any of that is true, I can tell you 100% that it's true. Because when I did that prayer, I heard him being sucked away, screaming at me. And I even heard other spirits rejoicing, she did it, that kind of thing. I heard him being pulled and sucked away. And I remember sitting there, see, I'm getting tears in my eyes now. I remember sitting there thinking, holy crap. Not only is Jesus real, which I always kind of knew in my heart, but, to have this humbling experience that he heard me. Me. Of all people on the planet who was doing one of the worst things you could do. Which I didn't know, because the Bible says you shouldn't be doing that, but I really didn't know. Here I am screwing around with spiritual shit and, oh, excuse my language. And he heard me. He heard my prayer and he took him away. Sorry. And I was so humbled and grateful. And I was in shock that he would, out of all the people on the planet, and probably all the prayers being thrown at him at this 1 minute, that he heard me. He actually heard me, and he took him away. Sorry. So, I know that he hears your prayers. And although it may seem like they're not being answered right away, he's hearing them. And if he doesn't think it's best for you, he's not going to answer in the way that you want. I saw this video one time. Again, I wish I had written it down. And it was this preacher guy. And he says, what is your 6-word, what was it? Your 6-word life or something like that. What is in 6 words? And in the end he says, God does not waste your pain. 6 words. God does not waste your pain. Because I often, if you see my other video, you know that I'm still under attack. And every time I do a video, it gets even worse. When you're nailed in the body by an entity, it's like you're getting punched and electrocuted at the same time. It hurts. So, sometimes I think when I pray, I'm like, Father, why do I have to go through this? Like, why, what is it that, kind of like a why me? Why, I have to experience this and I have to listen to all of the demonic and the serpents and everything else in the audio, and it's really tough. And then I always think of that 6-word thing. God does not waste your pain. So that encourages me. He's using me. Who better to tell you that this is real than someone who's been through it. You know, people will, they can assume or they could, say something from the Bible or what have you, but I'm telling you because I've lived it. I'm living it. That this stuff is real, and I guess that's why he's, you know, using me to do all this awful stuff, listening to the audio and dealing with, you know, these entities and getting hurt. And who better to tell others and warn others than someone who's been through it and who goes through it. And anyway, I just wanted to tell you that little story about, Jesus is real and he does hear your prayers. You could tell people and you could feel it and you can say it to yourself, oh, he hears my prayers, he hears my. I'm telling you, he hears your prayers because I heard that demon getting pulled away from me. And I thank him every day. Anyway, I just want to share that. I'm not crazy. These things are real. These situations are real. I think he wanted me to tell you guys that part because it's been kind of, sitting on my shoulders for the last couple weeks. That it's real. He's real. And he does hear your prayers. So, having said that, get back to basics. Just get back to basics. Father. Never mind Yahweh, never mind Jehovah, never mind all the fancy words that people say. It's Father, the Most High. And of course, Jesus. I envision myself all the time when I'm praying and I'm thanking Jesus for something. I envision myself wrapping my arms around him and giving him the biggest hug. And he puts one arm around my waist and one arm on my hand. And it's so comforting when I do that. Anyway, so with that being said, I wanted to get back to this regarding my last video about asking a simple question about Jonathan Kleck. Now, I have this in another video, so I'll be quick. When I first started watching Jonathan, I asked God for a sign, for something. And the very next morning, my friend's 20-some-year-old son, he has autism. He showed up at my door. Now, I've lived here 15 years. I didn't even know if he knew what house was mine, let alone he's not one to show up at someone's door. So he showed up at my door, and I'm an artist, so he was asking me tips about painting. He wants to start painting. He's like a child, even though he's in his 20s, and he goes, "Oh, I've been practicing," and I said, "Oh, well, show me." And this is one that he showed me, and my jaw dropped on the floor, and I said, "What made you paint one upside down and attached on one?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know. It just came to me. It was in my head." Now, a bunch of his paintings that he's done will blow you away. Like, clearly God is talking to him. He just doesn't realize it. I thought it was really sweet. So anyway, I got this confirmation. Now, when I was praying, I said, is this real? This upside down, so I just want to share that, okay? That this is what showed up at my door the very next day. And God leads me in all these different directions. Um, I feel in my spirit sometimes He directs me to movie trailers and stuff. And there was this one from The Dark Knight. And if you look here on his arm, it's a serpent. Okay, it's a snake. And I'm assuming, I never saw the movie, but he's getting released from prison or something. And let me just show you real quick. It happened so quick in the clip. Watch. See that? He gets spun around. So what I got out of that was he's being released, but he needs to be spun around. That's what I got out of that. Turned upside down. I'm assuming he's a bad guy. So is he getting... I don't know. I don't want to read into it too much right now. But so there's a serpent. So I'm like, oh. So not only does God show me that, He leads me... he leads me to Michael Jackson's Thriller video. And I'm like, okay. And I noticed this right away. Like, oh, wow, that's the same thing as the tattoo. Right? Of the serpent. It's right there. And then it leads me to this. Celine Dion's Satanic Clothing for Children. Same thing. That's the same thing. He was confirming it. It's all about the serpent. That's exactly what it is. Serpent. That's a serpent. That's a serpent. It's a snake. Anyway, I just want to show you that. So, I'm sorry for crying. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming. So, I just want to share, just have a chat, tell you where I feel He's leading me. And, we're, like I said in my other video, we're all just trying to do the best we can. We're aching. Don't you find that sometimes we're aching for the truth? Well, we're never going to get it here. Not 100%. We're human. Right? We got skin. We're going to be deceived now and again. But I found that since I've been praying to Father, the Most High, and straight through to Jesus too, I feel, and plus I've taken a step back the last week or so. It just seems more simple. Just turn to Father, turn to Jesus, and just do the best you can. We're not all perfect. I do want to say something else, though. Sorry. When I need to step away from all the negative and all the demonic stuff that He has me doing, or listening to, I should say, or anything like that, there's a few places that I turn to. And I've mentioned this before. But Casey at Enter the Stars, I always picture Jesus smiling so much at him and being so pleased with him. He just seems to have such an incredible heart and love for Jesus. And at Enter the Stars. So if you're not already following him, I suggest you do. And if there's a day that you just need a real in your face. It is what it is, you know. A kick in the butt, reminding you about Jesus. Then I suggest watching It Is Finished. I started watching him several months ago, and I love his love for Jesus. I know it may sound silly, but I love his love for Jesus. And so he's nice to listen to too. Um and if you're a little more fired up and you just feel like kicking evil butt, A Call for an Uprising. There's another one. I always picture it's silly, but I always picture him in standing in front of Jesus, you know, defending him with like a shield and sword. I know it seems silly, but his love for Jesus I love too. So anyway, I just want to chat with you guys and just let you know to remember to keep it simple and let's try not to, tear apart each other, bash each other. We're all just hanging on, trying to do the best we can in this crappy world. So, anyways, that's it. Take care.